Good afternoon, everybody. Bo here, Football Talk, and of course, I'm here with John Bonamego, Coach's Corner. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Bo. How was your weekend?
It's good. It was good. Somehow when they're long, they're not long enough.
Yeah, I understand. It's always feel that way myself. Did you guys do anything special, or did you just hang around?
It's funny. As I get older, I find I do more adulting this weekend and stuff around the house, birthday parties, things like that. For some reason, my thought of going camping and stuff this weekend, where you go out of town and then camp with all the people you just tried to get away from, it never really made sense. So now if I do that, I do it a couple weeks from now, where the campsites are empty, stuff like that. What about you? What'd you guys do?
Similar. I mean, we try to get the boat out whenever we can, but man, Memorial Day weekend around here, there's just so many people on the water. If you don't get out early, you're not going to be able to find a place to dock up, and there's just a lot of traffic out there. So very similar, but again, great weekend, some good cookouts, no complaints.
Yeah, there is always good food. So that is a huge bonus. All right, we got a great guest coming on today. Tell us about him.
Wow, I could probably spend the entire hour introducing this guy. One of my very dearest and closest friends. A guy that, we were talking off the air, I would say easily in the top three, and I could probably put him up as number one most influential person in my career that I've ever worked with. If I hadn't met Coach John Baxter, who is currently the special teams coordinator, assistant head coach, and I think running back coach at the Fresno State University. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it's his second tour of duty there. But Bax just had an immense impact on my career for the following reasons. As a second-year graduate assistant at the University of Maine back in 1988, Coach Baxter gets hired as his first full-time job after being a graduate assistant at both Iowa State and University of Arizona. And Bax was, to put it simply, a young authority on the topic of special teams plays. And this was well before that phase really started to get the attention that it receives now. So Bax kind of took me under his wing, brought me along as a coach, taught me a lot of the ins and outs on special teams. And on top of that, there were these things called computers that were just coming onto the scene back then. And Bax had a Macintosh computer. About 4 months after meeting Bax, I ended up buying my own Mac. And again, we were kind of on the forefront of a lot of those things in terms of, scouting reports, playbooks, with computer generated drawings, because back in that day, we were still hand drawing a lot of things with stencils and, running the scouting reports off on the mimeograph machines, which we still ended up doing. But without a doubt, this guy is exceptionally talented, has had an outstanding career. He has impacted numerous lives across a very wide spectrum. I'm proud to have worked with him. I'm very proud to call him my friend, and I'm proud to introduce him to our audience on today's show, Coach John Baxter.
Welcome to the show.
Hey, Bax.
Hey, that was legit. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
See, you can come on more of these shows, right?
Yeah, clearly you haven't been reading Twitter, okay? Opinions out there at this point, okay? Yes. But I did get to sit here and watch the intro to your show. So there's two guys changing direction that just looked like they were there for the video. They weren't any good at it. Okay?
Yeah, that was not good at it.
Uh-huh. Okay, and then it looks like you're doing your interview in a brewery. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it actually was. I was.
Yeah.
So in the during the normal season on Thursday nights, because Thursday night football has not been a great product. I actually end up doing interviews at local sports bars for every Thursday night during the season.
Yeah.
And that way I can highlight local businesses, and it makes Thursday night football a little bit more fun because I got to watch all the games anyway.
Well, I get more interesting after my third beer, so I'm only drinking coffee right now. Okay? In fact, this is out of the cup my daughter gave me, and I'm like, "What's paddle your own canoe mean?" She goes, "I just saw it, Dad, and thought it was something that you might say, so I bought it for you." So
that is hilarious.
We didn't touch on that, but Bax is very well known by anybody that's played for him or worked with him or been around him for. He's just got a lot of really good acronyms and sayings. As any good teacher would be able to do. The key is it's not what you know, it's what you're able to teach your players and what they know. We're all going to be measured by how they're able to go out and execute. And, Bax has been able to do that at a very, very high level for a very, very long time. So I could see why, which daughter was it? Which one?
That was Mackenzie.
I could see why Mackenzie would.
I was like, "Where'd you get that?" She goes, "I don't know. Thought it'd be something that you might say." I go, "Well, I'm going to start saying it now." Yeah.
Yep. No, that's one of those phrases. I haven't said it, but I probably will.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So where are we going with this show today?
Well, probably all over the place, but I mean, we got to start off by highlighting last season, right? So you guys had a good season, had a dominant bowl game.
Yeah.
So how do you build on that coming into this year?
Well, it was a good season. It just wasn't a great season. At one point we were like 19-1 in our previous 20 games. And then, we beat Boise, we beat, the teams you need to beat. And then all of a sudden it's going to be us and Air Force in the Mountain West Championship, it looks like. And then our quarterback's into concussion protocol, and our 2 defensive tackles are out with high ankle sprains. And then we can't beat New Mexico and San Diego State. And, it's like all of a sudden we got a defense that can't stop a hard marching band, and our quarterback can't complete a pass. And so it's like, well, we still won 9 games, and that's good. But that's good, I guess. I mean, it's but we got healthy for the bowl game, and then Jerry Kill's a great coach, and Jerry Kill's a great coach, and I mean he made New Mexico State relevant. I mean that's a great coach, okay, and it's
been a while since anybody's done that.
Yeah, I mean that's a place where coaches go to die. Okay, okay, and we just totally got after them, and with a healthy team, and so where do you go from here? Well, number one, we had an excited team to play the bowl game. And I really think, in the bowl games, in every bowl game, there's one team that's glad they're there and another team that's like, when do we get to go home? And we were glad to be there. Okay. And we have a football team here, uniquely in Fresno, California. I think, Coach, you were highlighting the fact it's my second tour of duty at Fresno State. Well, I'll add this. When I got asked by the writer when I got here, he said, "I got a unique question for you." He said, "Yeah." And he said, "This is your second time at Fresno State?" I go, "Yeah." "Well, that's a statement." He says, "Well, you've also coached at Arizona twice and USC twice. So how do you explain that?" I said, "It's pretty easy. I don't burn bridges,
Sure.
Every place I've been, I've made it my home. And there was never an idea that I was going someplace else or whatever else.
Well, Fresno really, truly has been home for you.
It was.
I mean, the girls were born there, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah. I mean, I've only had 2 jobs for 27 years, USC and Fresno State, with a 1-year stop in Ann Arbor, Michigan with Jim Harbaugh. And that was super fun. It was. And so anyway, but that being said, Fresno is a unique place, okay? And, when you guys want to go all over the place, we can talk, okay, what's coming up for this season? Well, football's important in Fresno, California, okay? And in the state of California, you have the Bay Area surrounded by the Bay and the coastal mountains, and you have Southern California divided by, the San Gabriels and that stuff. And so SC and UCLA and San Diego State, the San Joaquin Valley from Bakersfield to like Red.
Oh no.
And gone.
It's got to be on his end, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I wonder.
Yeah.
I hope he realizes that he's not on air anymore.
Hey, true.
Because knowing Bax, he's still talking.
That's one of those touch the wrong button kind of situations.
Yeah, just lost his internet connection.
Yeah. Oh, here he is.
All right.
I don't know what just happened.
You were there and then you weren't.
The computer just went off. So I went back to the little login on the email. So hope that doesn't happen again. Okay, so I can pick up where I left off.
Babe, I wasn't worried about Bax with computers at all.
Yeah.
No, that was the mic drop. I'm out.
Hey, how fast did I come back in real time?
Real good.
Pretty quick. Pretty quick.
I had
Under a minute.
Log back out, get back on the internet, everything. So, okay. So, the San Joaquin Valley, where we are, is the size of the state of Tennessee. And in this valley is one football playing school, and that's the Fresno State Bulldogs. And, whenever you look at programs that are relevant, that will remain relevant, they have a feeder system. And, Florida kids play in Florida. Texas kids play in Texas. Louisiana kids play in Louisiana, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And, back when Syracuse and those guys were good, they were good with Florida players, but South Florida, Central Florida, Florida International, Florida Atlantic weren't playing football. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now they are. So that dries things up. But anyway, if you figure that between Jim Sweeney, Pat Hill, and now Jeff Tedford, for a little more than 50 years, Fresno State's had 3 coaches.
And that's outstanding for a program like. I mean, look, it's no secret. It's hard in that conference. It's hard. But football is king at Fresno State.
Yeah.
These guys have got like a great tradition. It's a football school, and what you guys have been able to accomplish, build there and sustain there, given the resources and the challenges you have. And we don't have to get into all of those.
That's significant, though. That's true.
But it's not an easy place. It could very well be if it's not done the right way with the right people, you could be talking about another one of those programs where coaches go to die.
Correct.
And you've had an excellent string of success with some excellent head coaches, and man.
Yeah. And so, the thing is here is we definitely do more with less. Here's what's funny. We have, I'm going to say, I mean, these are blanket statements that somebody can put on an Instagram reel if they want to, but we have the best coaching staff in the conference. And if we're not the best coaching staff, then they're tied with us. Okay. We have great coaches. 7 of us have worked together here 27 years ago and are veteran coaches. Okay. We have the best players in the conference, or similar to who has the best players. And we have the best fans. We're number 1 in attendance with the lowest budget and the worst facilities. Okay. But the thing is here is that to be successful at Fresno State, there's one thing that's got to happen. You got to have a bulldog in that big chair. Okay. And Jim Sweeney's a bulldog. Jeff Tedford's a bulldog. Pat Hill's a bulldog. You got to have bulldog blood in you. You got to understand that there's portions of this program held together with Scotch tape. That's fine, but you got to know where that Scotch tape is, and you got to know how to work around it, okay? Because we don't let the things that we can't control affect us. What we control is our attitudes, our ability to connect with people, the relationships that we have, okay? And we are very, very out front with, if you don't like football, then don't come here. If you don't like competition, then don't come here, okay? Because this is a football place, and football is important. We led the conference in academic all Mountain West people, and we also the last 2 years lead the conference in wins. So, it's we know who we are and what we represent, and we're not trying to be something we're not.
I am always surprised at the amount of people that play football that don't like football.
Yeah, that's right. There's a lot of people like everything about football but football. It's like, what? 9-on-7 tackle? No, I don't want to do that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird to me.
Yeah, I mean, there's that's at every level. I mean, I think even the NFL, there's a lot of people that like being in the NFL, but not necessarily love love playing in the NFL or coaching in the NFL.
Yeah, I'll give you one of my classic phrases. Okay, I have some originals to me too. This is one of them. Okay, champions love the work, wannabes love the idea. Okay, and that line was made up for my daughters. Okay, when they got horses, because they grew up with horses and playing team sports, and Mackenzie did high school and college rodeo. Okay, which is something you can do when you're in the West. But it's like all these little kids. Oh, Daddy, I want a horsey. Okay, you want to feed the horse, you want to clean the stall, you want to do that stuff. See, because I still own horses to this day. I love the work. I love cleaning the stalls. I love feeding them. I love doing it. But that's appropriate for football. Like, you got to love this work because it's way too hard if you don't. And then we've created something like the transfer portal so they can actually escape the work.
Yeah.
And they can stay a pretender for maybe 2 or 3 more years. Okay? Yeah. When you had to stay and fight your way out with your back against the wall, it was good. Adversity doesn't build character, it reveals it. Yeah. So yeah, but we are, Corey Foreman's here now, the former #1 player in America at USC. And, he came up here to visit. And so say, okay, well, here's what we got. Our locker room's not as good as yours was. Our trainer room's not as good as it was. The weight room's not as good as it was. And we got no money for you. We got a scholarship. But if you want to develop as a football player, then come on. And if you don't, then find somebody else who will, kind of give you a soft place to land. But, and man, it seems like these days we're talking about everything but football.
Yeah, it does seem that way.
Sadly. And obviously the NIL creates a lot of that situation, right? Because you got
yeah. I mean, I'm sure you've talked about it on every show, right? But I'll just say this, okay? And maybe I don't know what your past guests have said or whatever else, but I can come at it like this. Unfortunately, I all of a sudden feel like an alien in my own profession because I've been able to coach in 5 decades, in the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and the 20s. Okay. And I'm looking at you, Bono, going, you can't believe that I'm older than you. Okay.
I don't know if you are. What year were you born?
When's your birthday?
August 14th.
1963. Oh, see, I'm older than you. Yeah.
All right.
Like 2 months.
Yeah, I knew we were about the same age.
Yeah. But my point is I had some incredible mentors in this profession, as we all have had. Anybody who's successful that understands that life is a team sport is going to recognize the people that have had significant impact on our life. That said, everything I've known about this profession is, whether it's capturing the hearts of your players and being able to teach technique and teach toughness and teach togetherness, okay, and develop trust, is all summarized in one word. It's a relational profession. It's highly relational. In the NIL law that passed in California is not 3 years old till this July. Okay. So in the past 3 years, we've taken a profession that was that and made it transactional. Mm-hmm. The only thing we're talking about now is money. In fact, the stuff that used to be important about, well, where do I fit? And what's the offense like? And do I fit in this system? And will I like the dorm I'm going to live in? And my roommate, do you have my major? Like, where's your checkbook?
Yeah.
Other stuff doesn't. How can it not matter now?
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter. Okay.
Well, because they're not even going to stay. That's the worst part, is with the transfer portal the way it is. Even if they sign an NIL deal, nothing says they're even going to take a snap for your team.
Well, and so here's the thing. I think other people have said it. It's like, I'm for, Bo and Bono and me. I'm for owning my name.
Sure.
I'm for that thing. I'm for owning that. I'm for owning my reputation and the things I've done. And if that brings about something, then great. But this idea of collecting money and inducing them to come with money that's unregulated is lunacy.
Yeah,
okay?
we're sick. It's literally back to the Wild West.
And so now I start to wonder, okay, first of all, we have 85 scholarships and 25 walk-ons. Okay. Well, no, we don't, because at schools that are well resourced, the walk-ons have money. So everybody's on scholarship. That's number one. Number two, it's liar's dice. Well, they offered me this. Well, there's no proof of that. It's not like there's a salary cap. Okay.
True.
So things go from the NIL law passes in, it's like this. The brief history of everything is 2012, Russell Wilson grad transfer from NC State to Wisconsin. Nobody had ever heard of a grad transfer. Mm-hmm. Over 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17, it starts to become more popular to where, well, it wasn't about them having a master's degree that my school didn't offer, so they sued and then they won. Okay, well, 2018, October 2018, I know what we're going to do. Let's just put a transfer portal in so these people that want to do this, they can upload their own documents and we can rule on them and whatever. Okay, well, then all of a sudden, instead of 250 people in there, there's 3,900 in the first year. And then we progress through COVID and all this, and here's where we are. So it's the combination of the transfer portal and this NIL thing, which is they're just going in there to get paid. My question is this, okay? And, I don't really care right now. I mean, I'm calling people out like presidents and ADs and commissioners, okay? So where are the leaders in this profession? Where are the presidents? Where are the academic deans? Where are the Title IX people? Okay. And where are, these people that are talking about, governance of this? How do we house this on a college campus? Where is student and student athlete? And if you have young people at the high profile schools, the Michigan, Ohio State, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Texas, at all those schools that are making sums of money with not one but two commas in it. Okay, I remember Bono when I coached at Maine. It was my first full-time job, and you were like, "What are you so excited about?" I finally get a paycheck with a comma in it. I was jacked about that. Okay.
Hey, Bax, do you think that, like, I've thought about this often. It's like, why do we even have scholarships anymore? Why not just make it like the NFL, give everybody a salary cap, let the players negotiate their income and let them pay for their own school. And then you give them everything else, because this money, especially at the money that's going into the NFL and the NIL with the collectives, it's at the expense of something else, right? I mean, that money used to be donated to the booster organizations and the athletic departments and that sort of thing. And
well, it still kind of is, right? Because that's where it's coming out of, essentially.
But people are saying, okay,
but instead of using it on facilities and team travel and all that stuff, it's going to the players.
But if people are saying, okay, well, we're going to the NFL model. No, we're not. Okay. In the NFL, you got 32 owners who didn't get to own the teams by being football players. They're in business. Okay. They hire a commissioner and pay him like $40 million a year to break the ties. Okay. You have a players association, an owners association, a salary cap, enforceable contracts, right?
Yep.
You know what you got in college? None of that. Okay? You don't have one of those things. Okay. All right. So then back to my original point was, if we really, really, really care about kids, and let's say that we do, because I know I do. Okay. The amount of mental illness and disenfranchised people we are creating with a kid that has two commas in a number that they're going to get in a season, and then they're going to get their college degree. Go out and try to make $75,000 with your college degree your first year out of college. It's hard to do.
Yeah.
Okay. And you got to work for it, and you got to find a way to be relevant. And so it just doesn't add up from an educational standpoint anywhere. And I don't know where the women are on this and the Olympic sport athletes, because Chip Kelly said it well. The UCLA softball team needs to be playing Arizona, not Rutgers. Okay. And so if you want to do all this for football, that's fine. But it's not the NFL. The Chicago Bears don't pay for the Bulls, the Hawks, they
Yeah.
just pay for the Chicago Bears. We got 19 sports we got to pay for here.
Yep.
Where is Stanford, Vanderbilt, and Northwestern in this thing going forward? Okay. How about Stanford and Cal? They feel left out, so they go to the ACC. Oh, great. Well, here's what I know. In the Western Athletic Conference, now the Mountain West, the hardest trip in the league is the one to Honolulu. And it's 2,400 miles from San Francisco to Honolulu. It's 2,700 from San Francisco to Charlotte. Those two just became the Hawaii of the league, So where are the presidents and the ADs? And I don't care who sees this. I want to know. Because when we talk about they're passing this wrong, they're passing that, would somebody please define?
This could be the show that pushes us over the top, Bo.
Yeah, that's right. So to add to the ire of this entire situation is the NCAA looks like they are going to make it so the schools can also actually pay the players.
Yeah, great.
So,
great.
But that's on top of.
Where are we at on Title IX on that?
Well,
because
that's
going to be 500 scholarship athletes. They all deserve something.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I'm with it, but that's going to be above and beyond any NIL. So now all of a sudden you're going to have some very interesting payment structures. And then what do you do with the scholarships? Is there a dollar figure where you start to take that away and you give it to somebody that maybe doesn't have those deals?
And you understand that scholarships are varying in that, at a Cal State University, I think our tuition for an in-state kid's like $7,500. Then room and board is what it is everywhere. I mean, the tuition at USC when I coached there was like $58,000 a year, just tuition. Okay. Well, with a scholarship, it's a net zero, so everybody's kind of technically equal. Yeah. Okay, but even at this, with these structures of paying people in revenue share, well, there's an assumption that there is actually revenue to share when the bills are being done. Okay, right? And like I said, I'm not even sure my computer's going to stay on here. Okay, but these, I think, going forward, what you've seen is this huge shift in the tectonic plates of college athletics, and these conversations have needed to be had and are being had, but we aren't anywhere close to final.
Oh,
anywhere. Okay. And, there's one major thing is, when you start talking about employment contracts, that's what antitrust laws are. That's where child labor laws come from. Well, to this point, and a student cannot be an employee for real reasons, right? A student can't be an employee. Well, if your student can't be an employee, then you can't have an enforceable contract. Well, that's pretty hard when we're talking about the size of money that we're talking about. Because I know, Bono, you were in the NFL a long time. And if you have a 2-year contract and you get let go or there's a staff change and you don't get retained a guy a year on your contract, they can prevent you from still going someplace if you're under contract.
They absolutely can.
Okay, we can't prevent any of that.
Yeah.
So you cannot be in any business without an enforceable contract. And that's kind of where we're at. And that's why I say is, what are we talking about right now? What has been all the talk for the last 2 years? Money, transfer portals. It's the
realignment.
Yeah. Well, and how do you even recruit at that point? Right? Because now not only are you in the high schools trying to recruit, you're at your own school trying to recruit.
Yeah. And now they just gave them unlimited official visits.
Exactly.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
Okay, wait. No, here's 2 things on the docket you got to know. Number one, about 6 months ago, they ruled that you could now with the transfer portal, you can transfer as many times as you want and be immediately eligible, because every time they sue the NCAA loses. Okay. And, it's like, how many times can you come home from work and mom's raising the kids and can we have this? No. And then, mom's and dad comes up and says no. And then pretty soon you make mom powerless to just run the family, So every time they lose one of these things, it's crazy. So now you have unlimited transfers combined with 2 transfer portals windows and now unlimited official visits. And what they tried to push through this year that didn't happen, that I think is going to happen next year, is a June 30th signing day.
Yeah, I saw
Because,
that.
well, all these kids are committing early. So that means that in May, April and May, it's going to be a contact period. Okay. Which then means not only is it a contact period, but then you're bringing official visits in the summer. So guess what we're only a year away from? Kid signs in June. What do you think the next thing is? I'm sorry, I forego my senior year to get ready for college.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We are training them how to not play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's completely the wrong way.
Yeah.
So
no, I would agree with that. I forget who it was that actually addressed that. It was, oh man, I wish I could remember what coach it was offhand. But basically,
I think Kirby Smart addressed it, something like that.
I think you're right. I think you're right because he essentially alluded to the fact that if you're not going to play your senior year, you're not going to come play for me.
Right.
Because if I can't get you to stay in high school where you still have a lot of development to achieve, and I don't get to see you in that final year, I'm not going to want you.
Yep.
And I tend to agree with that.
I do too. And I think that's an area where I think the American Football Coaches Association could step in and get the coaches on the same page and unified, because it's the right thing to do. It's good for the game. And that's an area where, coaches can, and they could reel that in a little bit.
Right.
Till Lane Kiffin comes along and just says, "Hey, do whatever you want."
Yeah, exactly. But my numbers are going to be within one or two of being right. Okay. But there's 128 Division 1A playing schools right now. And I think 231 or 131 or 132 Division 1 AA, or what we call FCS now. Okay, so those two combined puts us right at between 250 and 260 high-level football playing schools. So, I think Montana and North Dakota State are high-level playing football schools, okay? So your group of 5 and your power 5 plus your FCS are so let's just say 100 per team. And so what are we talking about? 25,000 football players, right?
Yep.
Okay. If we went through and made a list right now, which we could do, but we don't have time for, of who could afford to play at this level to which we are legislating for, your number's really about 30. In the Big Ten, it's Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State. You can tell me about all the others. I'm sorry. Purdue and Indiana, it's not sustainable. Okay? It's not sustainable because of the academics of Northwestern. In the SEC, there's a whole bunch of them. I'm sorry, it's not sustainable for Vanderbilt. Okay? Texas and Texas A&M, and then there's the rest of Texas. Okay? So in Southern California, it's USC only. Maybe Washington, maybe Oregon, probably Oregon. The point is we're leaving in Division 1 and 1 AA, we're leaving 230 programs behind, and totally handicapping them. And it's just, I think it's ruining the student athlete experience. And I can tell you this, my high school coach passed away a year ago at 96. And every big decision in my life, I ran by him, whether it was moving, taking another job, getting married, you name it, I talked to him. I happen to be fortunate to have that relationship with my players. I know, Bono, you have that with your players. Okay. The roof is leaking now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've always said, if the only thing we ever talk about in the time we're together is football, then we've had a really shallow relationship.
Right.
Okay. And unfortunately, you can't get to the pain points and the tough stuff, which is where the difference is made, with this, we can make it better ointment of give you some more money or you can transfer.
Well,
it's in the fight, it's in the battle.
Yeah. No, I mean, you can't even keep them once they're in the program, because there's another transfer portal time when the season starts.
Right.
So even if they were coming into the year thinking, oh, you know what, this is tough, I got to battle for a spot. It's like, oh, let me transfer to a spot where I can walk in and be the guy.
Well, and there's no integrity right now. I mean, we've lost 2 players off our team, you know, in this past year, and now there's a term. There's all kinds of new terms coming up. Pre-portal. What's pre-portal mean? That means that somebody at that other school that has all this money has, through one of their friends or their high school coach, contacted somebody on our team. Hey, if you'll go in, here's what we got.
I believe they call that tampering. Every other level.
Yeah, the euphemism, though, is he's pre-portaled.
Pre-portal. That is hilarious.
What are we talking about?
Well, and does this get basically completely kill the spring games? Because anybody you might have played with over the, for the spring games may not even be on your roster.
Yeah, those are a thing in the past 10 years ago anyway, because it's just, you don't have enough guys to have a spring game anymore, So the other thing that I've heard them talk about now is with this NFL model or whatever is, okay, do away with scholarships like you said, but you're only going to have 85 on your team, period.
Oh.
All right. Hold on now. In the National Football League, you got 53-man roster, but then can you tell me how many you got on the practice squad now? Is it 12 or is
I think
it 12?
It's 12 now, yeah.
12, okay. So that's 63. That's 65, quick math. But
Right.
by the way, if any one of those 65 aren't producing, whoop, whoop, got a new one in by lunch.
Well, not only that is if a guy sustains a season-ending injury, you put him on IR and you replace him.
Okay. Yep. In college, okay, these are guys that even the worst practice squad guy is still an accomplished football player. Okay. So we got guys coming from 17 and 18-year-olds that thought these 7-on-7 leagues were real football. Okay. All right. So we are teaching these guys how to play with effort, with pad level, with technique. And there's one thing you can't speed up. I don't care how fast social media speeds it up, is the maturation of a male body. A 17-year-old is still a 17-year-old, is still a 17-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And a 23-year-old is a 23-year-old.
Yep.
And it just takes between 2 full years, meaning August to August, and the next fall for guys to become, the majority of guys become relevant football players. You can't do it with 85, taking into consideration player development and injuries.
Right.
So
want to jump on this question that's in the chat here. So lost on skipping their senior year. So they're not skipping the year. Sorry if we kind of contributed to some confusion there. Basically what they're doing is they're not playing football their senior year. So, which is crazy to me.
And trying to graduate in December, right?
Right.
Graduate.
Exactly.
Kind of like what guys are foregoing bowl games to get ready for
the NFL,
the combine.
Exactly.
You don't want to get hurt.
Yeah.
So it's that's what I'm saying. It hasn't happened yet, but if you put in a June signing day, that's what you're going to get.
Yep. You're going to get somebody doing running start or something to graduate early.
Here's where Jim Harbaugh is brilliant. He's brilliant in a lot of ways, but I'm going to give you one where he's really brilliant. When we first went to Michigan, and we had those 4-hour spring practices, I remember being in a room with him when he was saying, I just can't seem to fit it all in, because he'd just come from the 49ers. So I'm like, just practice longer. He goes, how do you practice longer? I go, we got a 4-hour window. He goes, no way. I go, you're telling me I can practice for 4 hours. I said, I'm telling you, you can ask compliance if you can practice for 4 hours, but we get 4 hours to do whatever we want. So that's what we did. And I'm like, man, what do you think? And he goes, Bax, the only way to get good at football is play football.
That's right.
Okay? It's the only sport that has to be administrated, which means we can go hit golf balls. We can go hit baseballs. We can go play pickup basketball. We can go do all those things. You cannot play pickup football. It can't be done.
Nope.
Yeah,
and the technique is too technical to just go out and I'm just going to go hit the sled by myself. All right, fine. If you're a fifth-year player and you kind of know what you're working on, you know. So anyway, that's foregoing things for. I'm sorry, we're not getting any better.
Well, I mean, honestly, we're seeing that in the pros, right? They get rid of one of the preseason games. Your starters basically don't play in preseason games anymore at all.
Mm-hmm.
And what did we see the first couple weeks of the league year? Absolutely horrendous offensive line play. Terrible timing between quarterbacks and receivers, because I don't care how much you do in practice, it's not full speed. There's no contact.
Yeah, you saw poor tackling, and you saw really bad special teams play.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's go back to this. When we all say football is about two things: what? Blocking and tackling. Guess what you don't see? Terrible line play, because football is a line of scrimmage game. so we stink at blocking, and then somehow when we stink at blocking, the running back bounces out in the open because they stink at tackling, and then he runs around like a wild animal on 2 acres of grass, and people are sliding off of him because they don't seem to balance and change direction.
And you're not allowed to tackle from the back anymore, so that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Can't go high, can't go low, can't wrap the waist. Not really sure how you're going to tackle if you're a smaller guy.
And you know what's funny? Like, I tell you, a lot of the rules that we have made, like taking the cut block off of kickoff return out, okay, there's been all this arguing about targeting and all this. Hey, listen, it's a good thing. Like not letting some guy have long-term, head trauma injuries. That's a good thing. Teaching, a targeted area where we can tackle is a good thing. Okay. So yeah. And it's funny because tackles, as we both know, have gotten lower and lower and lower to where, like the whole, Seahawk tackle thing, the low shoulder tackle, those are good things. But now we're targeting knee joints. Okay. So, you want to be brain injury or on a walker? I mean, it's a tough game.
Yeah.
And we found ways to make it, to teach it better. I think it's a great thing. But you still gotta play it to get good at it.
Yep.
Yeah, the drop in tackling is frustrating to watch because I get the getting the head out of the way, and obviously you want to make players safety paramount, of course. But they've gotten to a spot where now you're throwing a shoulder and you're hoping for that Sports Center hit. But if you don't knock him down, you didn't make the play.
Correct.
Right? Because he just bounces off and off he goes. Mm-hmm. So they got to figure out how to make it so that they can still tackle people. I get that they're legislating rules to make it very offensive friendly, but it's still a contact sport.
Yeah, right. It still is. Yeah. And then when you start paying big sums of money to people in this net, they enjoy the money and stop enjoying the process of what's bringing that along. And it's like, well, I don't want to get, you cannot play this game afraid to get hurt.
Yeah.
You cannot. It's just.
I agree with that.
No, if you take something off, you're going to get hurt.
Right.
Like if you're thinking about it, it's going to happen.
Yeah. Right.
Well, the opportunities to practice tackling is diminished. Spring practices have gotten shorter. That's gotten legislated. Again, all for good reason. But, you see the same thing in college football. It takes 2 or 3 games before teams settle in and get reacclimated to contact. And you just don't have enough opportunities, throughout the calendar year to work live tackling, and it's a double-edged sword. Every time we legislate it down, we're going to affect the quality of the play when everybody's watching on game day.
Well, it's funny because they've gotten rid of some drills that the collisions weren't high enough that it should have mattered. Like I always liked, even being one of the smaller players, I always liked bull in the ring, right? Because it made you get your head around. Like it was a great drill. Plus, I liked contact. But
Well, the drill that we all done forever, that everybody calls the Okie drill, where you got two bags, you got a blocker and a tight end or an offensive lineman against a defensive lineman or a linebacker, and you're blocking one-on-one between bags with a ball carrier.
Yeah.
I mean, that essentially is football.
Right.
And essentially is safe.
Mhm.
Now, if you do it 30 times, that's probably not a good idea.
Right.
But, you do it once or twice, you film it, you watch it, you go back, you work on a sled, you go back and do it again.
Yep.
I mean, that is the nature of the game. I mean, football is a line of scrimmage game. It is and always will be.
I never got why they, basically got away from essentially Oklahoma drills, right? Some of them you'd have two linemen and a running back and a linebacker or something to that effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to play that the whole game. I don't know why we're not practicing that. I mean, it's helping both of your DB and it's helping your running back pick gaps. Like that's what the drill is.
Well, at the end of the day, the game is in the hands of the legislators and the coaches coaching the game. And the coaches coaching the game are working to get better at it. But unfortunately, the people that are in courtrooms talking about it, they don't know the game. They've never had to get a guy ready to play. This will be college football season number 42 coming up for me. And I can tell you this, there is nothing like sitting in the locker room with that football team before you go out for the opening kickoff of the first college game. Those kids are so nervous that it's not even reasonable. Okay. Because what they're about to enter into is real, and they don't have a great background. Before that, your team settles down by game 3.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, oh boy, more teams lose the first game than win it.
Right.
I mean, that's just because you can only go so fast to practice.
Right.
All right. Live football is really something to see up close. You can only do it so many times, and the NFL, they got a whole nother problem. I mean, for the love of God, as how the rookies hit the wall there.
Right.
I mean, we play 12 games. If you're lucky enough to play in a Mountain West championship game or a Pac-12 championship game or Pac, whatever they are now. Okay. Okay. That's 13. A bowl game's 14. The NFL, it's 4 preseason, 16 regular season, and then 5 games if you go all the way.
Right. Yeah, you're getting 20 games guaranteed.
Yeah. So
it's 17-3 now.
Yeah.
Right? 3 pre, which
that's
again, I go back to the 2020 season when there was no preseason. Man, you talk about you're playing rookies on special teams units, and they've had no live work, and you're just kind of like,
well, that's what it's like in college. That's why I said the nervous energy in a college locker room before the first game. You have guys that have never been in that venue going in that are part of the team.
Yeah, I was in NFL in LA in 2020, and we're coming off COVID. We had no off season, no preseason games, and we had a really young team.
Right. Yeah.
And man, that's that's about as much angst as I've ever had, going into a season. Normally it's like, look, always feel confident, that they're prepared. That doesn't mean you're going to win every battle, but at least you have a sense of calm that, you've done what you can as a coach to prepare them for what they're about to go into. And, it was completely different. I know at the college level, it was very similar, but man,
everybody loves to talk about the kickoff because it's just so obvious. These guys are far apart and they're running full speed, but those collisions, a lot of them get diffused because of the athletic ability of the guys covering, and they get around the blocks, or they split past double teams. Okay. For me, when you got the guy that hasn't practiced, it's like, let's see, right here. It's the punt team test.
I
If
agree
you don't
with
want
that.
them on the punt team, we don't want them. Don't recruit them.
Yeah.
Okay. And, you know, the violence and amount of technique that play takes is so underestimated because that's where you win or lose. And if the fundamentals of the game are blocking and tackling, that's the only play in football that's designed to do both.
Yep.
Right?
It's a 50-yard sprint after a wrestling match too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And you're never going to hold a man against his will on 2 acres of grass.
No.
Okay?
That's for sure.
Right? And then you got a guy down there that's just trying to field this ball. And now that the Australians are in, it could go any direction you want. And he's trying to catch a helicopter, you know? And so, you know, those are the downs that it's like, there is no amount of practice that can make me feel good about what we're about to go do.
Yeah.
Like,
do you have an Aussie right now on the roster?
June 14th, I'll have one.
We got right. That's who we got to get on. We got to get. I got to get Nathan Chapman. I got to get Chappie on the show. Although we probably wouldn't be able to understand every other word he says.
Well, that's why you play it back, right? You play it extra slow.
Yeah.
Yeah. How you going, mate? How you going? But the thing is, you know, I went down to Australia to recruit. I had one at Michigan at Blake O'Neill, and then I had Ben Griffiths at USC, and now I got one coming here. And you know, I've known those guys since Tom Hackett came here. But if you think about it, like I tell people, the hardest guy.
You know how you met Nathan Chapman?
Huh?
Do you remember how you met Nathan Chapman?
You're going to tell me.
Yeah, I gave him your number.
Right.
I coached Chappie in Green Bay for
Green Bay.
off season, and then
I
don't want to get off subject, but you know he was every year trying to bring 3-4 guys over from Australia to try to make it in the NFL.
Right.
And one year I said, you know, you're doing this the wrong way. You need to try to get guys in college. And he's like, really? And so I gave him your number. I gave him Thomas McGahee and Dave Unger.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. and so and you know, they were involved with Tom Hackett, sent him to Utah, where my father-in-law was the head coach. Okay.
Right.
And you know, but the thing of it, if you think about it, okay, you go over recruiting, and like in back of me is that's my player development board. So there's the name of every player on our team, and they're sorted by body type. Because every position has a body type, and they're like, well, that doesn't make sense. I go, okay, then why don't we play our right tackle at X?
Yeah.
Okay? No, there's a body type associated with every position. I don't care what you say. Okay. But the hardest guy to find on your whole football team, punter. Hardest guy. Yep. Okay. People say, oh, how about nose guards or defensive tackles? Oh, you can find them. You just might not be able to get them, but you can at least find them.
Right.
Okay. You got a better chance of seeing a Sasquatch walk behind my camera right here live on this show than seeing a 17-year-old punter that's ready to play in major college football. Yeah. Okay. But if you think about it, there is no sport, no technique, no skill set that would have a kid drop a ball that's not round out of the air and try to hit it square. Okay. And, you know, sure, kickers, soccer, you know, all that's fine, you know, etc. See, in Australia, the Aussie rules game is the only way you advance the ball is you got to punt it to each other.
Yep.
Right. And the way you score is punt it. So, you know, like I learned when I went over there recruiting, you know, if we were to zoom in on some little household in America, you'd see a father and a son say, hey, let's go out in the front yard and play catch. Baseball, football, whatever, frisbee. Over there to say, hey, mate, let's go out and have a kick. And maybe go get the bloke next door to come over too. And you see them in the front yard punting the ball back and forth to each other. Yep. That's why they're over here. You cannot even find that guy in this country. And I hate to say it, but, you know, I'll say it. I mean, Americans are one-trick ponies. They catch the ball, they're a robot, they take their 2 steps, they drop it, you know, and it's like, oh, well, yeah, geez, I had a bad drop. Well, no kidding, Sherlock. Yeah. What else could it be?
Yep.
You know? So, yeah, those guys can do amazing things.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, man, that hour goes quick every time.
It sure does. It sure does. We could probably go for at least 2 more with Bax. I know that.
No doubt.
What did you guys want to talk about today anyway?
We did it.
That was it.
Oh, we did?
That was
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Oh. Was it
the-
good?
The
Yes.
thing that's funny is I write down some very basic bullet points, and then and if we get to them, cool, and if we don't, cool.
Next time.
Well, I guess we didn't then.
No, actually, we
I got,
did.
before you go though, I got to comment on your glass. I love the Woody Hayes glasses.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Hey, listen, people talk about old school. Okay, I just talk about original school.
Are those penguins?
Huh?
Are they penguins?
Penguins? No,
Okay.
these are Ray-Ban.
Okay.
Fancy.
Check out the penguin lines.
Penguin?
Penguin, yeah.
Oh, penguin, like Madagascar.
Yes.
Smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave.
Yeah, they've got a really good Woody Hayes glass.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, these are Ray-Ban Club Masters,
Nice.
which is what Woody wore, by the way.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Tuesday. There you go.
Yeah. I stay on script.
That is awesome. Well, thanks again for coming on. This was fantastic.
Yeah. What did we get out of this show? You get to summarize, Bo. What did we get out of it?
We got a lot of football. A lot of football talk. That's what we did.
A lot of good NIL insight.
Absolutely.
Kind of the landscape of college football as it is now, maybe where it's going, but some of the challenges which were always there, but I think have multiplied certainly since last time I was involved in college football, which really wasn't that long ago, but it seems to be it's the ever-changing landscape.
Well, and it's not the same today as it was in October. That's what's crazy.
Exactly.
It's just changing. So I guess my best analogy that I've said, I just came off the road recruiting for the last 3 weeks, is like, you ever see those reporters on the Weather Channel when those idiots are in the middle of the hurricane? Or like this, and, blowing out of the screen and stuff? That's where I feel like I am. Because the storm, we're in the middle of the storm, and it has not passed. And it's not going to pass for a while. Yeah. So you're just trying to bend your knees and keep pace and just stay.
I mean, tornado makes a lot of sense because you end up with wind coming from all directions. And being as you have to recruit on 3 fronts now, that's a pretty good analogy, really.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah. That's why I liked it. But that's really what it's like is you're in the middle of the storm and you're just trying to figure out where you fit. I mean, they're talking about home visits next May and June and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, what the best thing we can do? Golf. Just golf.
Yeah.
Because if we think we're going to out recruit SC and Oregon and these people and this is all getting pushed around, we just need to let the storm pass and then go by and go, yep, you're good. You're good. You're good. And sweep them up because they're going to be the same guys we got now.
Hey, I've got one I'm going to send you back.
Okay.
Kid, I'd like you to take a look at.
Yeah, sure.
You might be outside of your demographic geographically, but.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, okay, great.
Good kid. And is Kevin and Jethro still on the staff there?
Oh, yeah. Jeff Tedford, Kevin Coyle, who's the godfather to Mackenzie, Jethro Franklin, Tim Skipper, J.D. Williams. We were all here 25, 27 years ago. Yeah. And you know what? We are coaching the game the way it needs to be coached. We love coming to work. We love each other. We love what we're doing. And I'll tell you what. The number of people that are miserable in this profession right now is very high.
Yeah.
And it's not us.
Yeah. Is Jethro filming any more commercials there?
No. We've worked on that so that we could put that money in our collective for our players now. No, Jethro, you don't get to do that anymore.
Well, please tell those 2 I said hello.
I will.
And the best, tell Jill we said hello and the girls and let's catch up again soon.
Yeah. Hey, let me know when you guys want me back for more Weather Channel.
We will.
I'll be your weatherman.
You made the cut. You're definitely getting called back.
Okay, good. All right.
Awesome. For those of you watching at home, be sure to stay tuned for the next hour right here on Roku TV. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. Other than that, we will see you all next week.
Next hour? Wait, I want to come back.